I actually took a university course to write this book.
Okay.
Going back to lockdown days, I took an online course in art and antiquities crime because I knew that I wanted to bring in smuggling. Smuggling is such a big thing in Ian Fleming's world, whether it's gold in Goldfinger or diamonds in Diamonds Are Forever. So I wanted to bring that in, and it felt like a story about different smuggling pipelines would really lend itself to this ensemble cast that I have and multiple plot threads for multiple protagonists. So then I needed to learn about art and antiquities, crime, and smuggling.
As you do.
And as you do, as you do, there's a really kind of sinister in the world of antiquities and the world of terror. So, for example, the Charlie Hebdo attack was funded by the sale of looted antiquities from Syria and other war zones. Literally, smugglers took advantage of the chaos going on to dig up antiquities and sell them and use the profits to buy guns, buy explosives for terrorism. But the smuggling kind of line, which follows the best way to put it, the stages of smuggling structure this novel. So the first stage in the pipeline is subsistence looters. So those are people who they are digging up their own antiquities. They're digging up, say, a sacred idol or coins or a sword, simply to survive. They're living in a war zone. It's the only way to feed their family, and they're going to get pennies out of this. So they dig it up, they give it to a middleman who is the first in a series of middlemen down the smuggling line, who'll take it out of the war zone, take it over borders. And on the journey through the hands of these different middlemen, this object will be picking up different papers of provenance that say that actually it's from a legitimate dealer, actually it spent time in this museum. And then it will go through a free port. Free ports are tax-free zones. You can put anything in a free port. There's very little that says you have to declare what it is. You don't have to pay tax on it. And then it gets papers as it comes out the other side, which give it a clean bill of health. So free ports are often called enterprise zones. They help business because not paying taxes helps businesses. But there's a really there's a murky side to that on many levels, and one of them is that it can really help smugglers. So free ports are kind of smuggling heaven. The only person who knows this smuggling pipeline in full is a figure called Janus, the Janus figure, which of course will ring GoldenEye bells for people. So they're called Janus because Janus is the god with two heads, and this figure can see backwards and forwards. It can see the object going down the pipeline from when it was first dug up in a war zone, and all of these lies that have been attached to it, all of these false papers of provenance. It can see all of that in the black market, and then it can see forward into the white market because the Janus is going to sell this object to a museum or a gallery or a collector who doesn't know its full history. All say they don't know its full history. This gets very murky. So the Janus is the only figure who knows the history in the black market and its future in the white market. And that's where this idea for the Grey Group came from, this in A Spy Like Me, putting together the black market and the white market. The Grey Group is smuggling goods and using them to fund terror. Um, there's a lot of really fascinating kind of rules around all of this to try and stop this happening, or to enable it to happen, depending on who's making the rules. One thing that I found really fascinating was a few years back, there was a big scandal around auction houses selling uh, goods that had been very clearly stolen and looted from war zones. So a list of rules was drawn up to kind of help people identify that that's what they had on their hands. But to me, the rules are hilarious. One of them is if it has mud on it, it probably was recently dug up. illegally. And you'd think just common sense would say to you, I've been given an ancient sword covered in mud. I wonder if I'll question that. But this kind of the fact that they had to bring in that rule kind of shows you just how loose all of this is. And in the art world as well, you know, and in diamonds, these are huge commodities. They, yes, to us, they are priceless national treasures, but they have a price and they're huge commodities. And these deals are done on handshakes. So deals worth millions and even billions in the diamond world are just done on a handshake, and paperwork is hardly necessary. And there's these measures they've brought in to try and stop smuggling. Things like know your buyer, suggesting that you ought to maybe look into the background of the person buying it or the person selling it. Again, seems kind of common sense, but shows you just how loose this world is. So I found all of this really fascinating. And the kind of murkiness and grayness of that, and how accepted so much of it is